everybody, and welcome into our Rock the Red Carpet presented by GEICO. I'm Taryn Bray, that's John Walton, of course. Thanks for being with us here today in our Capital One Red Carpet studio. We have a great show for you today. We will be looking live at the Lexus Garage as our players arrive in style before they head into the arena. There it is right now. We got some red carpet outside as well in the garage, and we will also give you live look-ins to the GEICO hallway, which a red carpet found its way inside there as well. We got some balloons lining the hallway for the guys so that they feel a little bit extra special, since we know that this year is a little bit different. We will also have virtual fans greeting the guys as they arrive so that they feel a little bit of the camaraderie that they normally feel inside of this arena right here. We'll hear from some of our players ahead of tonight's game as well. John, we know this year's home opener looks and feels extremely different. Normally we are outside on F Street with the fans lining the street. How many Rock the Red Carpets have you been to, and did you ever think that we'd be experiencing one like this?
I sure didn't. And Taryn, thinking back to when we started doing the red carpet a few years ago, and the thing that makes it so special is you've got all the fans out between 6th and 7th on F Street, packed in, ready to see the guys yelling and screaming, and you know, you're talking with everybody, and it's usually a nice day because it's October too, and it's you know, nice weather and the beginning of hockey season, and it's always just a really special thing. We're going to try and replicate that today the best that we know how. And you saw the balloons and the carpet, and it's not quite the same, let's be honest, when it's coming in from the parking garage as opposed to out on the street with the fans. But we miss you terribly. We're glad to be back in the building ourselves, but it won't be entirely the same until you're all back with us. So we look forward to when that day comes. In the meantime, for the first time since March 4th, 2020, Taryn, we're back in the building. So that in and of itself does feel pretty good. And the Capitals are playing hockey in Washington tonight. Yeah,
you said it best. The fans are really what's the last missing piece here. We have hockey going, but we don't have the fans. So in order to make you guys feel like you were kind of here as well, we have a special message from TJ Oshie and NICKLAS BACKSTROM. Take a listen.
We miss you as much as you miss us. Times are tough for everyone right now, and you know, hopefully the fans that are able to watch us on TV are getting some joy out of it, and or maybe making the neighbors a little upset when they scream when the boys are scoring. But we miss you, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
I think as a player, you see how enthusiastic all the Caps fans are, and I mean, so far you guys have done an unbelievable job. So keep supporting us.
It's very obvious that the guys are missing the fans, but we got a little bit of a taste of what this season would be like back in August in the bubble up in Toronto. To say the least, it's been different. What's your assessment been so far, and how do you think that experience in the bubble has prepared the guys for this season, which will be virtually without fans for the most part?
I think the biggest thing, and I think for every player, and Alex Ovechkin is the one that I always think of because of the way that he plays to the crowd. And when you're on the road, say in Toronto, and he gets a goal and then it's a second and a third, and the more that he's booed in Pittsburgh, you start to see that energy come out. So it's a different game. I mean, that's the thing that really you're really kind of take in, is that when you see in Buffalo, there isn't any fan interaction there. You just see the seats. You saw it in Pittsburgh as well. So it, to me, is a very interesting as you take a look at the roster and what we've got here to start. Obviously, with a couple of roster changes going into this one necessitated by COVID protocols. We've got the forwards as they are here. Alex Ovechkin won't be in this one tonight. Evgeny Kuznetsov won't either. But Taryn, a lot of returnees from last year. A few new faces, but for the most part, you've got the crew that I think we're all accustomed to usually seeing. Yeah, you see there Brian PINHO. He was called up from the taxi squad here earlier today. So he made his NHL debut back in the bubble in August. So he'll be playing again tonight, and I think we have our first player arriving, so we're going to take a look at our Lexus Garage to get some of this excitement going.
Actually, we're in the GEICO hallway. It's Tom Wilson, who is always the best dressed, in my opinion.
There's no question that's true.
Yeah, the three-piece suit. He's got everything going. He worked that hallway, and I think we're going to hear some questions from him here about his anticipation for the game and what he's kind of expecting from playing here for the first time since March 4th, which we keep saying, and it's crazy to me that it's been that long. How many days did you say earlier?
Somewhere in the vicinity, I think 320 some at this point. We all left the building on March 4th, a game against Philadelphia, with absolutely no way we could have known what was going to happen next. The team went on a 3-game road trip and played in New York against the Rangers, played in Pittsburgh against the Penguins. And by the time we'd gotten to Buffalo, you were starting to hear about, well, this could be really bad in the West Coast in California, but no one thought we were going to experience what was going to happen next. And to have that taken away from you, and listen, whether you're a fan, broadcaster, team personnel, all of us, we didn't know what was going to happen, and we had it taken away from us. So we went through that period of uncertainty before the bubble was created, and then moving forward and then having a season, late start here in January. It's just nice to be back. And for all of them, it's nice to be back,
And
too.
I think we're going to hear from Tom here at the red carpet just a second to talk about all those things that I brought up.
Tom, what's it like to finally play the season home opener?
Yeah, it's really exciting. It was nice to take that familiar drive down Constitution and get back into the city, and haven't been here in a while, so it's good to see some of the faces around Cap One and get ready to rock.
And do you have a message for the fans who can't be here tonight, but obviously are still supporting you guys from home?
Yeah, I mean, there's no better feeling than skating onto the ice here at Cap One in front of the best fans or scoring a goal in front of you guys. So we're obviously going to miss you a ton. It's just not the same without you, and we appreciate every single one of you guys. So hopefully we can get some wins here, and we'll see you soon.
All right, a nice message there from Tom, really reiterating what we've all been saying, that he really misses you guys, and we can't wait until the day comes that you guys are back in studio, in arena. Actually, we're in studio, and I want to talk to you about Tom Wilson through these first 4 games that we've seen. I think
Can we talk about that matching pocket square with the tie, with the suit was perfect, just amazing.
Tom always kills it. Like I said before, I think he is arguably the best dressed player on the team. But back to Wilson in these first 4 games. I think he's had 5 points through 4. To me, he's been the best player on the ice on both ends. I mean, what has your assessment been of him so far? He's
been awfully good, Taryn. It's what he does away from the puck, too. It's not just the fact that he's tied for the team lead in scoring with 5, but the fact that he's the guy that goes and gets the puck ahead to whoever is on his line with him. It's going to be a little bit of a different look tonight. He's going to be with Jacob Vrana and Nick Backstrom, but whomever he has been with, he makes things happen, and there are times where he will end up creating offense just from his physical presence. We saw that in Pittsburgh, where the defense is looking to bring the puck out of the zone, and uh-oh, here comes the 43 train. We don't want any part of that. Forces a turnover, and it ends up in the back of the net. They end up losing the game in Pittsburgh, but Tom Wilson was terrific. He had the 2-goal game on Tuesday in quick succession in the first period. He's never had a hat trick in his career, but he certainly, as you see, a career high in assists and points last season. Even in a shortened season, I think those kind of numbers for Tom are attainable this year, only because I think his offensive game season after season, especially in these last 2 or 3, just keeps getting better and better.
Yeah, I mean, those numbers say it all last season, and I think we all expect another big season from him. Again, his development, I think, over the last couple of years has been probably, one of the best on the team, I'd say. Would you
There's
agree?
no player like him, Taryn. I mean, that's the thing. Every team in the league wants a Tom Wilson, and he only lives here. And when he first came into the league, from the Plymouth Whalers, he was in that category where he couldn't go to Hershey, and he came here, and he kind of had to grow in the role in the early years of his career. But without question, between the offensive side of his game we always knew that he had, and to be able to, obviously that physical element's been around from the beginning. An intimidating force as we take a look.
Speaking of intimidating forces.
Speaking of intimidating forces, here we are.
This is our Lexus Garage, and we got TJ OSHIE and Big Z, ZDENO CHARA, walking in from the Lexus Garage. Can't wait to see a little bit more of their outfits as they walk in our GEICO hallway. But that duo, what a pair. I mean, guys that have an impact on this team, some for the last couple seasons, one through only 4 games.
You're looking at a guy on the right there, the really tall guy, is going to be a Hall of Famer without question. And for all the years in Boston, he's a leader. He's going to be 44 years old before this season is over. And
44
he's still
years
logging,
young.
Yeah, thank you. And at 20 minutes a night, just about, a little bit over some nights. He's been a terrific player to skate alongside Nick Jensen. They've been the steadiest defensive pair, perhaps, that the Caps have had this season. A great addition, a guy who wants to come here and win. He won in 2011 with Boston. He would love to have one more shot at it, and he feels like he could do it here in Washington.
For sure. And the guy he was standing next to, TJ Oshie, 4 points through the first 4 games as well. He's been out there and just assists, goals. I mean, he's been a crucial part of this team for the last couple seasons and someone that we love having on the ice, and luckily we still got him.
I am very thrilled every time I hear Country Roads during the off season. It's amazing. When we started having the goal songs in this building, I didn't realize how impactful that was going to be, because you're flipping around. It's like, oh, it's TJ Oshie. There he is, yeah. And TJ's selection, I think, a sing-along song, which was his plan from the beginning, and he scores a bunch of goals. 6 seasons he's been here. He's almost spent as much time now with Washington as he did with St. Louis. His goal totals went up significantly when he came to Washington, playing in this team's top 6 for the last several years. Certainly a lot to do with that, but steady as he goes, goal scorer, and to be able to have that kind of presence, especially now. I mean, the roster is going to be a little bit different here over the course of the next 4 games and during this homestand. Another guy to look to. Look to see him with Richard Panik tonight and Lars Eller.
We got this live look into the GEICO
Can we get
hallway.
Z in here? Barely. He can get just under it, can he?
You know, John, I am 5'2" on a good day, and Big Z is about 6'9". And
he is
so
7
if we
feet
were,
in skates.
Yeah, so imagine the juxtaposition of myself and ZDENO CHARA standing next to each other in his skates. Unfortunately, I can't be around the team this season because of COVID protocols, but just imagine in your head what that would look like, a 5'2" petite girl standing next to this giant man, hockey player, star. There he is. I like what he's wearing so far. This is his first time walking down the Capital One Arena hallways as a member of the Washington Capitals. So this is a different walk for him. The usual locker room is on the other side, so this is brand new. I like seeing him in these red colors around him and not the, you know, the black and gold typically. He's walking into the locker room. We got also, we'll touch on it a little bit later, but to the left there, we didn't see it, but that's a cardboard cutout of our guy, Larry. Oh, here's TJ.
This is a cool shot here.
Yeah.
These are the virtual fans cheering on TJ. Now, they can see him, right? So this is a...
Yep. This is a real interaction,
really cool thing here.
And probably the first interaction that they've had since March, when the guys last took practice at MedStar Capital's Iceplex, when they can usually get some autographs and stuff. So here we go. He's rocking his, of course, his War Road face mask, his own clothing brand that
warroad.com.
Yep, that he wears all the time, and he's gotten a lot of fellow players to start rocking his athletic wear as well. Touching on TJ a little bit more, he's playing with Richard Panik and Lars Eller. We're going to hear from TJ in just a couple minutes at the end of this red carpet. But TJ's someone who's played with a number of guys on different lines. He's really able to be plugged into any line and bring a lot of energy. We're going to hear from TJ right now, and then we'll get back to that in a second. Take a listen into what he has to say.
TJ, what's it like to play at home finally?
It's nice to be back home. Obviously, we miss the fans, but it's going to be great to be back in our home locker room, play a game after sleeping in our own beds, and you know, excited to defend our home ice.
And do you have a message for your fans who would normally be here cheering you guys on, but are doing it from their couch tonight?
We miss you guys. Gosh. Yeah, as much as you guys want to be at the game, we want you guys to be here. It'll never be the same opening night or any other game without you guys in the stands rocking the red. So we miss you, and can't wait to get you back.
There he is, doubling down again on what Tom Wilson said earlier about just the desire to have everyone here. But I want to go back to ZDENO CHARA there for a second. The Caps play the Bruins for the first time this season next week. How weird is it going to be for ZDENO CHARA to play his former team for the first time?
It'll be weird for him, I'm sure. It'll be even weirder for his former Bruin teammates, who are going to have to face the imposing pterodactyl reach that he has at nearly 7 feet tall on skates. The most imposing figure. One of the things over the years in my time here, Taryn, in 10 seasons, was whenever Boston played Washington, it was Ovechkin v. CHARA, and there were epic battles. Now, the guys who are on the other side, who are not nearly as physically imposing as Alex is, like Marchand and Bergeron and Pasternak, terrific players in their own right, but now they are going to have to do the best they can to get around their former teammate. They're still, I'm sure, friends off the ice, but they're going to have to figure out how to get around him. That's not an easy task, and that's one of the reasons why, to be able to have him skating alongside Nick Jensen. Nick plays bigger when he's with Big Z because, hey, you know you've got that steady force back there. Nick's a tremendous skater, and to be able to step up and have a little more offensive feel and move up, he doesn't necessarily know Big Z is going to be behind him. I think it's a terrific pairing, and it's been one of my favorites so far to watch in this young season.
Yeah, and I think I see the new formed defensive pairing of Nick Jensen and ZDENO CHARA as kind of Nick not wanting to let his proud dad down. You know, he feels like this is a legend, obviously a future Hall of Famer, and he wants to make him proud. We got his stats here. 6-time NHL All-Star. I mean, the total games that he has played is just outstanding. It's definitely up there in the league. I'm not sure if you know exactly where he ranks up there, but it's pretty incredible. He's in the top 5, but here's the crazy thing that maybe brings it home. For those who would be watching in Hershey and who we have seen here from time to time during training camp, Garrett Pilon plays in the Washington organization. Garrett Pilon's dad is Rich Pilon, played with the New York Islanders, and ZDENO CHARA was playing with Garrett's dad, Rich, with the Islanders before Garrett was born. So just to let you know how long a period of time we're talking about here, without question, I mean, he's a Hall of Famer. His number is going to go on the rafters in Boston, and it should when the time comes here. And again, the interaction with the fans here, this is what you miss. I mean, Taryn, I think that, you know, the red carpet is one thing, but thinking back to 2018 when the team won, and the gathering in the streets, and the parade and the rally, and there was no better time in this organization's history to be able to have this outpouring of emotion with the players and fans alike together. So when you put it against that kind of context, when we're not able to have fans here, when you're not able to have them out on the street, it really is tough emotionally. I mean, even for me, I mean, when you drive into the building and you watch it empty and you watch it fill up, and during the playoffs especially, when it just has this tremendous feel to it. We're not going to have that tonight. I wish we did, but it is nice to be back, though. Yeah, I think now we're going to show that feature that I talked about a little bit ago about Larry, who I'm sure a lot of you don't know who he is, but if you are someone that walks the hallways in a game day on Capital One Arena, you know him very well. He stands right at the entrance of the Capitals locker room, and it is tradition that they never break, that they fist bump him as they enter the locker room, and it's just not going to be the same without him. We do have a cardboard cutout of him so they can kind of fake the fist bump, but it won't be the same without him, and we will miss him dearly. I think we're going to look at some of our favorite fist bumps from over the years with Larry and our players. Here we go. Carl Hagelin, there's that fist bump, always. He's the nicest guy to greet. I mean, you've talked to him over the years. It's just a shame that, you know, due to everything, we can't have him here with us this
Mixing in the Max Scherzer fist bump. That's a rarity. That only happened once.
There we go. All these guys in the beanies. Speaking of beanies, we had TVR walking down that red carpet just a few moments ago, who signed with the Caps on a one-year deal from Carolina. Won a cup in Chicago, I believe. What do you...
Not actually him.
Not actually him. Thank you for that note. I'm glad that we... we didn't get to pan down a little bit, but there was a cardboard cutout of Captain beneath Larry.
Captain is here as well.
Who is also a staple last season in the Capital One Arena. Hallways into the locker room. We miss Captain very much. Glad to see him there as well. We're going to see Captain now, actually, just for a little bit close up since we miss him dearly. There he is. That droopy face. I remember when he first showed up, October 5th, 2019, when Alex Ovechkin walked the red carpet, making Captain's debut with him in his arms. I mean, it was a moment.
A lot smaller then.
A lot smaller. The face a little bit less droopy, but I think a moment that everyone remembers. Seeing that cute little puppy. I wish we had more puppies with us this season, but you know, we can still see them on cardboard cutouts like we have Larry and Captain. I think we have a live look into our Lexus Garage to see some of our players arrive. And actually, we do not. So let's get back to TVR. Hasn't played a game yet this season, and we are back. We have Jonas Siegenthaler in our Lexus Garage walking up, who's actually making his season debut tonight. Hasn't played throughout the first 4 games, but he will do so on that second defensive pairing. He will, and Jonas, this is one of the things that the Caps wanted to address during the very short offseason was shore up the depth defensively. And when by the time ZDENO CHARA came in, he was kind of the guy that was left without a seat at the table there for a little bit. But it isn't through, I mean, he certainly belongs in this lineup. And to be able to have some time to be able to get in there will certainly be good for him. I think that he will be able to step in. I'm sure he'll be pretty amped to get back in after watching things from the sidelines as we got a little bit more look-see-do here with the fans who are looking on. Looks like they're sleeping on him. They're like, they didn't even know, and they look up. All right, that was Brendan Dillon. John Carlson just walked by, and that is Daniel Sprong that just walked in the Lexus Garage. And here we go. We have Brendan Dillon walking down the GEICO hallway again. Talk a little bit about Brendan Dillon and what he's brought to this team since arriving here just before the trade deadline last season. I had sent it out in tweet form last year, right after he got here, a home game against Pittsburgh, where he went up and gave Malkin the business in behind the net, letting him know that his behavior was not going to be tolerated. I said, I like me some Brendan Dillon. That's the tweet. And he's a physical presence. He logs a lot of minutes, a great acquisition right before the deadline. And one Taryn that we really didn't get a chance to really know much about because he came over in February. He was here for a couple of weeks, and then we weren't playing for a while. So it's nice to have him around for a full season. And he's going to be in that top pair tonight. Without Dmitry Orlov, he's going to be skating with John Carlson tonight. Yeah, we were talking about Siegenthaler earlier. Really, in the last couple of seasons up here, has proven why he deserves a spot. I mean, last season he was playing a lot more. He'll get back in the lineup tonight, and especially on that penalty kill. What did you see last season that really would you say his standout season really last year? Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're going to say that it's flashy, but steady as he goes. It's not his game, but I think he's, very capable and in standing his ground, a little more of a defensive style defenseman, I think, is his makeup. But I think to be able to have somebody like that, again, would have been probably a third pair, was in fact a third pair, as we see John Carlson checking out the fans there. This is what ZDENO CHARA and Nick Jensen have become. So really wasn't through Jonas's fault at all. Yeah. You get a Hall of Fame defenseman who is essentially going to be plugged into your spot. That's a tough thing to fight, but it's nice that he's able to get in, especially for the home opener here. Yeah. That guy right there got robbed out of the Norris Trophy last year. It's a shame. He just fell a little bit short to Roman Josi, but one of the best offensive seasons in Washington Capitals history among defensemen last year when he got 75 points. Yep. And this team will go on the back end as he goes. Looking forward to seeing a little bit more of that offense now the Caps are home for the next 6. There's Daniel Sprong, as we noted before, in the Lexus Garage. He just walked past the camera, and also Brian PINHO. Daniel Sprong and Brian PINHO will actually be playing on a line together tonight alongside Connor Sheary. What do you think of that line combination? It's obviously nothing that we've ever seen before, so it'll be a completely new look for us. Brian PINHO's first regular season game, got a cup of coffee in the postseason, and for fans of a certain age that have been around here for a little bit, I said this on during one of the games on the road trip, and you may think I'm crazy or you may think I'm dead on. Just look at it the next time the camera on TV pans to Daniel Sprong and tell me he does not look like Tyler Sloan, who used to play here, give or take, about 10 years ago. Tyler had come up from Hershey. Just in the face when he's got the helmet on, I said, that looks like Tyler Sloan sitting there. So just, if you think I'm wrong, tweet at me or whatever, and that's fine. You can tell me I'm wrong. But Daniel Sprong is, one of those guys, Taryn, that he started out in the Pittsburgh organization, second-round pick, didn't pan out. They traded him to Anaheim. He scored some goals there, but it didn't pan out. This organization, talking about the Capitals now, has been very good at a guy, think of Brett Connolly, who had washed out in Tampa and he washed out in Boston. It was kind of a last chance at the end, and he comes in here and he finds a fit in this locker room. Yep. And, I think they're hoping that's what Daniel Sprong could be. He's got tremendous offensive upside, and they're hoping, especially now in these next 4 games on his homestand, that they kind of find a little bit of that right here. All right, back to the garage. Here we're in the Lexus Garage. I believe that is Jacob Vrana wearing a beanie, and then behind him is, it's very hard to tell with these masks and beanies on who is who, but I believe that might have been Daniel Carr on the taxi squad, who is just arriving as well. Jacob Vrana, a guy who had Vitek Vanacek actually was behind him, like I said, very difficult to tell with the beanies and the mask. Here we got Nick Dowd in the Lexus Garage. I mean, look at that car right there. How do I get one of those?
Yeah, see, yeah, you better, that's a very nice looking automobile. Pretty good looking jacket that Dowder had on there, too.
Dowder, I will say he also dresses very well. I'm sure his wife, Paige, probably has a hand in these, as I would say probably all of these men have a significant other that helps them dress.
There's a support structure,
nicely,
so to speak.
There is.
Yes.
Back to Jacob Vrana, we were just going to say, he, last season, had an outstanding season. I mean, this year it's a shortened season, but I think we all expect that hopefully he continues to ride that wave.
Yeah, I like the Dowd Hathaway combo. I think regardless of who's been down there, Carl Hagelin has been this year. We saw a little bit of change from a year ago in that, but they are together. There's a chemistry there. And the way that Garnet Hathaway plays the game, he's one of those guys that, he doesn't come up with a whole lot of points necessarily, but he's a guy that always, at least in my mind, should sell a lot of jerseys because he's always in the middle of it and he's there to mess some people up and fight for his teammates. He's a glue guy, and you need those kind of glue guys. Jake Vrana giving the big wave to the fans there. Jake is a pretty good dresser too most days. I like this is a very kind of an understated look.
Yeah, I'm trying to see
really
what color
sharp.
that is. Is it an olive green? Is that what you're seeing there?
I think that's an olive, yeah. From where we are in the studio, yeah, oh, that's olive, yeah.
Right,
and he's got the light there, yeah.
The matching beanie, so I guess he's got a monochromatic look going on that I love a monochromatic look. And there's Vitek Vanacek behind him greeting the fans. And he will be, I believe, in net tonight. That's correct, right?
He will be in net tonight, and Craig Anderson up from the taxi squad, who will probably get a look at some point. And if there is a silver lining to Ilya Samsonov being out for a bit, the Capitals, Taryn, are going to find out what they have in Craig Anderson, a guy who is, the last 10 years playing for the Ottawa Senators, career in the NHL that's pushing 700 games. He's been there and done that. He's also got a haircut I can truly appreciate, which I very much enjoy. Always happy when the ball guys are getting it done. So looking forward to seeing him get a chance to show what he can do. And now we got a big entrance here.
We do. Another looking at the Lexus Garage. NICKLAS BACKSTROM, obviously a Capital for his entire career. Inked another deal to stay here for another 5 years, I believe, last season, which is very exciting. I think that we all want to see him retire as a Capital, and hopefully with that new contract, he will do so. We're going to talk about Nick Dowd again, co-host of Capitals podcast Between Two Blue Lines, which you can find on every streaming podcast service that you have, Spotify, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts. In their last episode, they just played a game of Would You Rather, and so I have one that I want to throw to you.
Ah, okay.
Would you rather be checked by Tom Wilson or ZDENO CHARA?
I would rather not pick either one, to be truthful with you, but if I had to pick one, I might go with Big Z, because I might at least have a chance to duck out of the way and not get the full impact. Tom's not going to miss me. He's going to put me right through the glass, and it's going to hurt a lot. So if I have to pick one, I'm going to go with Z, just because I'm going to try and do a little jiu-jitsu, get out of the way, and hope for the best.
And hope for the best, yeah.
Yes.
We just saw there Connor Sheary was walking down the GEICO hallway as well. Another new addition to the team this year from Pittsburgh, won 2 cups there. He's been in and out of the lineup a little bit, which we saw in training camp and through the first 4 games. And here we got NICKLAS BACKSTROM again, which I was talking about before, hoping that he retires a Capital.
Yeah, and it seems like when he signed that contract back in February, it hasn't even been a year yet since he signed it. In COVID time, it feels like about 100. Yeah, right before the pause, signing a contract that will keep him as a Washington Capital for his career. I say this in any interview that I ever do, whether it's on Sirius XM or any NHL network or any national platform. Everybody knows Alex Ovechkin is a unanimous Hall of Famer. The second that he retires, he waits the waiting period, he's going in. I will beat the drum all day long that Nick BACKSTROM needs to go in right alongside with him. By the time that he is done, along with having the cup on his resume in 18, to be able to put up the assists that he has, he's going to get to 1,000 games played in the league and a lot of years left. He's going to obviously come very close to 1,000 points. Probably don't get there in the shortened season this year, but by the time that we reconvene in the fall, looking at 1,000 points, and still productive years ahead of him. Speed is not part of his game. game. He's one of the smartest hockey players I've ever seen, positionally sound all the time. He's only going to continue to produce, in my opinion, which is why they signed him to the contract that they did. And I think that if he continues to add to the totals that he's already got, if he can add another cup, that would be pretty good for the old resume too. But in my mind, Nick Backstrom, a terrific person to deal with, and he's a Hall of Famer when he gets done.
Where does, on your list of your favorite calls, where does Backstrom to Ovechkin rank up there?
There's so many of those, I guess. Watching them play together over the years, Alex Ovechkin has gotten our calls, Joe Beninati's too, on SportsCenter and other places, and there's not a video that comes across NHL Network we don't sneak onto, and it's solely because of him, usually, because of all of the highlights that he's given us, and Nick has been a part, obviously, of so many of those. As we head back to the garage here, and the hits just keep on coming downstairs.
Yeah, that's Garnet Hathaway arriving in our Lexus Garage.
That's a suit right there.
That is a
might
suit.
Be that's my silver medal to Wilson right now.
Oh, to Wilson. Okay,
yeah,
Wilson's still first place for me as well. Garnet Hathaway, you touched on him and Nick Dowd earlier, and Garnet is the co-host to Nick Dowd of the Between Two Blue Lines podcast. I gave John a Would You Rather earlier, which is what they did in their last episode, and I have one more for you, just for good measure. I hope this is less
painful.
For good measure. We'll see. All right, so each of these instances, for $1 million, would you rather have to stop an OV one-timer from the office in net, or have to beat Jacob Vrana in a race on skates?
Well, I think I won't beat Jacob Vrana on skates. I don't know that too many of his teammates can, so that's
if I have to beat
him for the money, I have half a chance of I'll end up in the hospital if I get hit by an OB shot. But for $1 million, there might be some money left over after the medical bills. I'm going to say the OB shot. All
right, safe to say that between my Would You Rathers to John, he is going to be very injured between getting hit by ZDENO, CHARA, or Tom Wilson, or taking a one-timer from Ovi in the office. Garnet Hathaway, what has been your impression, as his arrival last year, and as he's continued to really gel with Nick Dowd, and now also he's playing with Carl Hagman, which is new this year. So what about his game has been more impressive to you so far?
It's, to me, the stats are fine. I mean, he'll get you some goals. He'll get you the assists. To me, it's the sticking up for your teammates. It's the energy that they draw from that line. He did that with Calgary. He's a guy that can get you 10 goals in a season. It's an unrealistic expectation to think more than that, but that's not what he's about. He's that glue guy that's going to go in there and make things happen. If you're going to take liberties with one of Garnet's teammates, you're going to have to answer to him. And he's a guy that loves to stir it up a little bit. I love guys like that. I always have. It's not always about the points for me. So Garnet's going to give the hello there.
And I will say, from watching him interact with fans and all of the good stuff that he does with Hath's Heroes, which is his player program supporting first responders in the DMV area, I mean, he is a great guy, a personality that I think is just something that, every team loves to have in the locker room, joking around, and especially all the good work that he does in the community. I think having guys like that, like you mentioned, on your team, not just the on-the-ice stuff, but the off-the-ice stuff, I mean, it really makes for an all-around player that you want on your team, and especially in the community as a fan. You want guys like that care and that come in right away, as he did and created that Hath Heroes program. Some guys, they don't get the opportunity to, or that takes a little bit of some time to really develop that interaction to have a difference in the community, and he did it right away, which I think just speaks to who he is as a person.
Yeah, it speaks to his character. I mean, I think he's a good person. I mean, to be able to do the stuff that he's done with first responders, and Zoom calls with fans that I had a chance to do one this summer where, one of the fans in question didn't even know that he was coming, thought they were just talking to me. I was like, oh, that's all right, I guess. But and all of a sudden, Garnet shows up. I mean, that's the kind of stuff. It goes such a long way. And I think it speaks to his character of who he is. That's who he is to his teammates. That's who he is to the fans. That's who he is to, the community, first responders especially, but others. Hath's Heroes is just terrific that he's been able to do that, as you said, in such a short period of time. So having guys like that on your team, I'll take guys like that all day long.
Garnet, Hathaway, Nick Dowd, we talked about. Another guy that we saw on the red carpet that we haven't touched on yet, Carl Hagelin. All those guys a part of the PK unit, which has been pretty good so far. Before we get into that, we're going to take a look. That was Richard Ponick that just walked past in the Lexus Garage, and it's a very nice suit that he's also wearing. I will say, I think some of these guys heard that this show was happening and decided to step up their fashion game, because this home opener, they're looking really, really good. So back to that PK unit. How impressive have they been? Because it seems like they've really been able to keep the Caps in some of these games.
Yeah, I mean, I think that you go back to the very first penalty kill of the season in Buffalo. Taylor Hall, who we'll see tonight for Buffalo, scored in the very first power play against of the season. And then after that, they run off a dozen straight and ran into a little bit of a special teams hiccup in Pittsburgh on Tuesday night. But that's one of the strengths of this team, Taryn. I mean, if they're going to be successful, if they're going to be one of those teams that claims one of the top 4 in this division in a playoff spot, and keep in mind, as this season goes, having consistent points. Yes, the Caps lost in Pittsburgh, but they got points in both of them. 6 points out of 8 on a road trip. There's nothing wrong in the world with that. And if you are getting points every single night, you'll be a playoff team, because you are playing against all division opponents this year. But conversely, if you go on a losing streak and you don't get points for a week and a half, you could be looking up at everybody. So critical juncture here, but the Caps thankfully at home for the next 6. Penalty kill's a big part of that. Power play will continue to be a big part of that. Going to be some changes with that here. As Richard giving him the big hey and hello there on the big screen as he makes his way into the room. Yeah,
Richard Ponick is going to be our last guy that we see come down this hallway, GEICO hallway today. Lars Eller, we heard, is running a little bit late, so we won't see him coming down here. But let's go ahead to talk about tonight's game. The first home opener, like we've said, we touched upon how they played against Buffalo. But the lineup looks different. We kind of mentioned at the top we're missing 4 of the guys who would normally be in that lineup, so things are going to look a little bit different, and some combinations we haven't seen before. So what are you looking for in this game to see from these new combinations and pairings that you would like to see have success in the next 4 games?
I would like to see guys take advantage of opportunities. This is no different than when injuries happen to a team. This is no different than, in some ways, obviously some different circumstances, but look, adversity comes every year in some way, shape, or form. And how you overcome that is going to be what ultimately tells the story about your team in any given year. So a guy like Daniel Sprong, who, by the way, even before tonight had a chance to play briefly in the top 6, he's going to get more of a focus. If you're Brian PINHO, you're playing in your first regular season game tonight. This is an opportunity for you. If you're Connor Sherry, you were in the lineup at the beginning of the season, and then you missed the last 2, and you were watching in the suit and from the press box, and now you want to show that that you belong and coming to a new team. And Connor Sherry's been a goal scorer in Pittsburgh and with Buffalo. Yeah. So you be able to show those guys. There's Craig Anderson. See, there's the haircut of the year right there. That's my guy right there.
That's our last guy.
Craig Anderson. But, it's opportunity. And I think if Jonas Siegenthaler, you can put him in that. Put Craig Anderson in that group. Craig Anderson he loves this game. And he was a goalie in this league for a long time. And he knew that the opportunity here, when they came to him and said, look, you're not going to be one of the first 2, but you're going to be on the taxi squad. He didn't go home. He wants to be here. He wants to be a part of a team that wins. He played in Ottawa. They didn't do a lot of winning in Ottawa. I mean, he wants to be a part of this. And he's going to get an opportunity. So, I mean, to me, Taryn, tonight, this homestand, really, certainly these next 4 games, you're looking at guys who want to step up. And Vitek Vanacek, tonight's starting goalie, he's the same thing, because he probably didn't think that he was going to be at this place on the depth chart when they signed Henrik Lundqvist. Right. But here he is, starting the home opener. What an opportunity for him. He's already got a win under his belt, and that was against Buffalo. Hopefully he can replicate that tonight. I'm just excited, Taryn, that we have hockey in this building. I wish the fans were here, but the fact that there will be a live hockey game in front of me for the first time in 324 days, I got chills just thinking about it. I can't wait to see it tonight.
Yep, another home opener upon us in just a few hours. The Caps' overall record in home openers is 26-15-2-2, and the number of times the Caps have faced Buffalo in a home opener is once in 97, and that score was Washington 6, Buffalo 2. So we got this matchup ahead of us tonight. Well, that is it for our red carpet show presented by GEICO. We're so happy that you could join us, and we know that everything is so different, but we hope that this at least gave you a little bit of a feel of what it normally would be, albeit virtually. We know this is going to be a season of firsts, and we're just going to have to settle in along for the ride. As always, we have a game tonight at 7 p.m. John, you're on the call. How can people watch and listen tonight?
Well, for those who are on the TV side, Joe Beninati and Craig Laughlin are also going to be doing a live hockey game tonight. I'm sure they're as excited as we are. So NBC Sports Washington has the TV side. You can hear Kenny and I tonight on 106.7 The Fan, always at Caps Radio 24/7. And we're just happy to be here. Honestly, it is truly that simple. We're blessed beyond all reason that we can finally be back in the game here and watch it live. And there will come a day, and the day for me, Taryn, is when we're all back here doing what we're doing tonight. And we got 18,500 people here again. That day happens. There'll be a tear or two because we miss you guys. I can't wait to see you back here.
All right, thanks everybody, and let's go Caps.